Well, welcome back, everyone. It's been a very long time. I have been busy, both in here on the bench and out in the frigid hell that is my metalworking area. Just thought I'd let you know what's been going on while I've been out. First off, I have been working on the Predicta tandem. The IF strip I have reinstalled it. I've actually got the set warmed up and running right now, but I don't have a video signal connected to it. Instead, I'm actually going through the IF alignment steps, and I've been getting some help from the nice folks online, because obviously I've never done an actual true sweep alignment before. This is all a little bit new to me. Anyway, so that's our response curve. I'm feeding a sweep signal in through the antenna terminals, going through the tuner, and then coming out the video detector. A friend of mine, the good Dr. DeSaro, loaned me his WaveTech 1801B. I actually just bought one for myself, although it does not have the nice harmonic marker adders modules built into it like his does, and those are not easy to find. He also loaned me this rather expensive Agilent signal generator, which is providing the marker in through that. This is just post-marker injection, so they're added after the fact on the waveform, which makes it much cleaner, which is pretty cool. So I've been struggling with that. Let's see, what else? Changed the focus connection in the CRT. The image was pretty fuzzy, and I'm trying to deal with, there's some smearing still, which apparently is the result of loss of high frequency information, from what I understand. I've also invested in a modern digital pattern generator. I've got a Philips P55 a PM5515 microprocessor controlled pattern generator coming in the mail that I won on eBay, so I'm excited for that to get here. But yeah, right now I'm just letting this whole thing warm up and trying to get it set correctly for best image. However, most of my time actually has been spent over in the other half getting organized. And let me show you what's been going on there. So this is where I've been concentrating most of my effort the past month or so. Shelving. All 12 feet of it is complete. And I've got it set up with 4 shelves on there, and I've got all parts for the Franklin on the left and all parts for my Volkswagen on the right. More or less organized. I've got small parts in bins, and the heaviest stuff is at the bottom, and then it scales on up. I still need to stain that top shelf and put some polyurethane on it before I move my small parts for the VW onto that. But I've been trying to clean everything up, getting rid of a lot of garbage. I couldn't even walk in the center of the area here, and this has all been moved out. That's actually because I had something else I had to deal with recently. My water heater that was 35 years old this year died on me. Ruptured, actually. No flooding or anything, but it gave out, and I had to do an emergency swap out during the coldest month of the year, naturally. But got it plumbed back in with the help of my dad, and getting the old one out was a lot harder than getting that new one in. It was completely saturated with water in the insulation. So I had to clean out a whole bunch of stuff in front of it, and basically just kicked me in the ass and got me to move some stuff out, move some things around. The wall that I was constructing as a partition is pretty much done. The only other thing I need to do is I did install some trim board to cover up over the 2x6 floor joists there, and then a 1x3, I think it's a 1x3 stained polyurethane to then nailed over the top to take up the gap, because the house is at a bit of an angle to the wall, so the gap is not level. So none of that's level. I don't really care. So I needed to cover that up with trim. Got to do the same thing here. Turns out a standard 1x10 shelving board is about 9 3/4 inches nominally, and that is almost exactly the width between the surface of the wall and the edge of this 2x6. So that worked out great. I gotta get one more 10-footer to put in there, and then I could put another piece of trim across, or probably won't do the trim yet because eventually I'll need to frame out the doorway here, because I've got doors for that. and I've been working on tearing down some of the old shelving and then moving stuff that was cluttering up this area has been moved over to the new space so that I can go through it and just start getting rid of things. I've got some Motorola VT71 cabinets over there, and I think the cabinet for my Jackson Bell Model 64 Tulip is right there. That needs to be reunited with its chassis. I've got stuff moved around. Taking apart things and then splitting up the parts is something I see at estate sales, and I've started doing it, and I gotta stop because you lose stuff real easily doing that, and it takes up twice as much room. So storage is pretty much done. However, the next part was I needed a workbench to do dirty work, so grinding, scraping, anything involving car parts. Basically, I was using some sawhorses, little metal sawhorses, and those just didn't really work. And I can build additional storage under the bench for all my power tools, my chop saw and everything, drills and whatnot. And then I plan to put more shelving against the wall here. I do have a tool organizer. I don't have a ton of tools to put at this workbench since most of them stay with my garage stuff. But I do have a lot of construction supplies, and I can probably put all my paint on shelving above here. Although I'm trying not to put too much of it in front of these shelves because it does block access. One thing I did not consider is this is going to come out 2 feet from the wall, which means about 2 feet, 36 inches up of that shelving is not going to be easily accessible. But that's okay because I'm not getting into it very often. And yeah. So I think I got that going on. I'm probably going to reorganize the heavy equipment. The 10-inch Atlas lathe that I've got that still needs work to be put back together, that'll probably wind up going against that wall. And I'll probably move the mill towards here next to this support. In fact, I might put the back of it against that pole, and that it'll be very easy to get 240 volt single phase service to it because it just so happens there's an unfinished heater connection right here on the beam. It's still wired into the heater circuit for the bathroom, I think, and the bathroom's on its own breaker, so I'll be able to put in a 4 square box and then just put the receptacle there, and I can run the SO cord from the machine to that. And because this takes up a fair amount of room in the middle, and having easy access to all edges of the mill is much nicer. I don't really need access to the back of the lathe. It is going to stick out a little ways though, because the motor and everything does mount down here to these ears. Probably comes out about an extra foot or so, so it'll set up against the wall. But this is 120. Don't need any special outlets, and I really want to do something against this wall with the electrical service. The electrical service down here sucks. There is one usable outlet in this whole place, and it's all the way up there on the wall, and I have to use it for chop saw and whatnot. So I want to, I'd like to see about opening up this wall, maybe putting in some permanent outlets and running the conduit, or just putting it on the surface. One or the other. I haven't decided yet. I'll probably do surface mount with conduit for outlets down here. I need some against that wall, which is mostly used for storing of raw materials. I need at least one more over there, and especially I'm going to need some here, and what I will probably do is there's 120 somewhere up in here. I've got all of these junction boxes open so I can scope out where things are, and a lot of this is free floating and just not to code and has got to be redone. So either conduit or flex, one or the other. I can run it across this beam, bring it down the wall, and then I do have a plug strip set up that I can run here. But at the very least, I could, I can put a 4 square wall box, maybe, or 2 or 3 of them along here. There's certain code requirements for distance on those, but yeah, I've more or less worked everything out, and then I got to do some better lighting. There's really nothing for lighting except those 2 fixtures and then this LED with the chain that I installed here going to an old outlet, and that's doing most of the heavy lifting here. So probably put in some permanent LED fixtures in between the joists. Also looking at doing insulation, a whole host of other things, but organization has been my biggest deal. I've got tools scattered to the four winds, and if I can get more stuff out of my electrical shop that doesn't need to be there and put it over in the dirty work area, it'll make me feel a lot better. It can get a little trouble. I have a hard time starting to work on things when you're constantly surrounded by crap and unfinished projects. It really kills the vibe. So I'm trying to clean up after myself and dispose of a lot of things and giving a lot of stuff away to folks. So I'm offloading test equipment. And if you're at the Puget Sound Antique Radio Association meetings, I'll be bringing some more things. I think I've got at least one scope I don't need to hang on to anymore. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to do is a decoration. I have these two fabulous pieces of vintage electrical equipment. These are actually pulls out of a Canadian, I think it's a Canadian National passenger car. This is actually a battery disconnect switch with fuses. And then I also have, it's upside down right now, this wonderful distribution board here with the fuse sockets for all the lights on board the car. So there's lighting tag and then individual disconnects that you can switch between, I think, shore power and train power. These were going to be scrapped when we were converting a car some time ago. Had some generators in it. And I want to get these mounted on these walls, but my God, they are heavy. And I'm still trying to figure out how to properly anchor them. I'll probably have to make a board or something for them to attach to initially, and then the board will be very firmly attached to the studs in some fashion. Now, I do have about 16 inches of working space between the edge of the wall here and the edge of where the bench is, and that's exactly how wide that panel is. The problem is that doesn't account for any trim that I'll have to put in around the door jamb. So I'm still working out how that's going to go, but I would really like it if I could at least mount the knife switches here, because my only other spot to do so is this wall, and that's right next to a door, and they stick out too far, and it'll just wind up ruining the door. But, yep, that's where we're at. And, oh, the next thing up is really going to be just trying to finish the alignment on the Predicta, and then keep plugging away at building my bench here. This is going to get the same treatment as the shelves. It's going to be stained and polyurethaned. I'm not doing a pre-stain like I did on the walls because that's just more time, and this isn't an art project. I just want it to match the color. I don't need to get crazy with it. But that'll do it for this one. Thanks for checking in again, and I'll see you in the next one.